Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Stephen Levine. This is Tom Vandervoort, and we are in the afterglow of the All-Star race, Tom.
Yes, still glowing.
Yes, you are. You could have powdered down a little bit more, I think. Now, this was the first year of a new format, 2020-2010 lap
Which
segments.
is a long way away.
And the winner of each segment, that determined how you got to go down pit road for the final segment. What we saw, though, is like when Jimmie Johnson won the first segment, he basically didn't participate in the remaining segments until that final 10-lap shootout. He just ran around in the back. Same with the winners of the subsequent segments.
What we actually saw was great racing in all four of the preliminary segments. I mean, I think that's what was great about it, is there was a real incentive to win each of those segments, and so I think we saw really competitive racing, even though, ironically, there were no crashes.
I would say, and because the winners of the segments went to the back,
then you had
better competition up front.
Right.
Who wants to see Jimmie Johnson dominate all four preliminary segments?
That was the point I tried to make on Twitter, which was, you know, Jimmie was so good, and you could tell he was fast. I mean, I think within 4 laps, it's like, uh-oh, this 48 car is looking good. He did make it to the front by the end of the first segment, and then you pull him out of the mix, so you see other guys duking it out, and at the end of the day, you had the 4 fastest cars up there for the final 10-lap shootout. Now, that was a bit of an anticlimax, partially because Jimmie Johnson's pit crew won the pit crew challenge.
So he also got the...
So he won the first segment, had the first pit box, came out first, and then he dominated from there. So that was, I think, not really the fault of the format.
Well, if I had to quibble, I would make that final segment longer. Could somebody have challenged Jimmie Johnson if they had more than 10 laps to do it in?
No.
Maybe not.
No.
But I think 10 laps didn't give anybody a chance. It was Jimmie Johnson.
Well, you wanted to see him win by like 2 seconds instead of 1. I mean, honestly, I think you could make the last segment longer. I think 20 laps turned out to be a great length for a competitive segment. I just think in this particular case, you had the fastest guy with the first pit stall leading the race with 10 laps to go. If it had been 20 laps to go, I think you would have had the same outcome.
Let's move on to issue number 2. Obviously, in some ways, Roush Fenway was a great example of this. People were trying things out to prepare for the 600. What did we learn, and what did these teams learn that they can carry forward into next weekend?
Well, I think we learned that Hendrick Motorsports is going to be strong. If you look at how Dale Jr. felt about it, you look at Jimmie, obviously, you look at how Dale Jr. felt about his race car and how he performed.
Well, and he won the showdown.
He won the showdown, won the 4th segment in the All-Star race. He felt really happy. If you scanned him, it was palpable, the confidence that he had in his car and how good he felt about it. And he said, he said something to the effect of, "Don't let me forget to tell you how much I'm looking forward to the 600 next week." And they'll probably bring the same car back, and he's going to feel very good about it.
Casey Kane was strong.
Casey Kane was very strong. Almost won the 3rd segment. You know, missed it by that much. So Casey Kane's going to be good. So I think you look at Hendrick Motorsports, you have to be pleased, I think, if you're Penske Racing. You look at how A.J. Allmendinger ran and now Brad Keselowski ran, and you have to feel like those guys
Can I just say that A.J. Allmendinger's run during the showdown was
awesome.
As good of a piece of driving as you will see all season. Regardless of what happens from this point forward, there will be people who will equal that run, but I don't see how you can better that run. The man had a flat tire before the green flag and managed to come home second in the showdown. It was a brilliant piece of driving.
And a hell of a pass on Jamie McMurray as well. So I think you look at those two teams, and then I still think the Fords will be there.
One other guy I think we should mention before we move on is Marcus Ambrose.
Right.
I mean, he had a really strong run. Now, can he sustain that for the entire 600? I don't know. I certainly am not going to pick him to win, but
I think you're going to see a couple of those Fords up there, and Marcus could be one of those guys. I mean, obviously, he'd lean towards the Greg Biffles and Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth. But
all right. Issue number 3, we already mentioned Dale Jr. a little bit, but we're still waiting for him to break through with a win. It's been a really long time. Can it be the 600?
It can be, and it's going to come here. I'd be shocked if it doesn't happen this season. You know, he's bringing good cars to the track, the team is, and he's feeling good about it. He's got good chemistry with Steve Letarte. We saw how he ran at this racetrack last year, which was very, very good. So I think you've got to say he could win the 600. Now, he's going to have to beat his teammates to do it, probably, but he's going to come with a piece that can win this thing.
I think he can win, too. I think I would give a slight edge at this point, not only to Jimmie Johnson, but also to Casey Kane, because this is such a good track for Casey Kane.
Well, they've both done it there before, both dominated there before.
Right. So, but do I think Junior can win this race? absolutely, it would not be shocking at all to me to see him up there in the front.
And let's be clear, too, if he does win it, it's a signature win in the man's career as well.
It is.
This is one of the marquee races of the season.
Absolutely. Just ask Jamie McMurray about that. And, you know, again, 600 miles, 400 laps. It's a long time to keep everything, you know, everything together, to keep it together, and to maintain the car, and to maintain your focus.
But, and to stay out of trouble.
And to stay out of trouble. Right. You know, this is a marathon. This is the longest race we go to all season. But yes, I do think this could be Dale Jr.'s breakthrough win. All right?
All right.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's Tom. I'm Steven. Thanks for watching.